Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very next session. We have Alan or Cogdog here for the next session. Will be a half an hour session. Small pieces, still loosely joined, integrated, federated. So, Alan, without further ado, I'll let you take over.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right. Thank you,
Jason.
Jason.
And
And
hey to
hey,
everybody out there. I'm Alan Levine. I am coming to you on a sunny day today from what the map location would say Central Canada. It's also Treaty 4 territory, and it's land of the Cree, Nahiawak, Lakota, and Dakota people, and the Métis Nation. And I am so fortunate to be here where, if you read my blog post, I've been doing a lot of rewilding of the land I see out my windows. But here, going to do something different, rewilding the network. I'm trying something that was probably going to fail miserably, but I'm going to flip over and we're going to go through very quickly what I hope is something interesting and some things I've always enjoyed playing with. And I'll get to the title, but just to be clear, largely inspired by this book. I forgot I had it, Small Pieces Loosely Joined, published 2002 by Dave Weinberger. It was like the birth of the web, when the web was going to change everything, and it's got the unified theory of the web. And I even found, as I was looking, look, highlights. I read this thing, but right there in the preface says, it says, by removing the central control points, the web enabled a self-organizing, self-stimulating growth of contents and links on a scale the world has literally never before experienced. And here it is, written in 2002. The result is a loose federation of documents, many small pieces loosely joined. That kind of spirit inspired a bunch of activity by colleagues, many of them here. Brian Lamb and Darcy Norman and I had presented a couple times on this thing we called about small pieces loosely joined, with blogs and wikis and RSS and all this stuff that we are stitching together and making it up as we go. But I'm not here to talk about the old days. So what I am going to talk about is very interesting. What I'm trying here is that all my what I'm going to show, it's out there, spread out among the vast reaches of the internet, or at least the ones I can reach. And what I have done is my presentation is available in Pinboard, which is an old school looking social bookmarking place that I still use on a regular basis. And I'm going to show you how I use it. But everything that I'm going to show is in here. It has an RSS feed. That RSS feed can do some things, like on my presentation here, this black box, this is embedding from that RSS feed all those things that I put in there. That's just one thing you can tie together with this method. Keep in mind, I have no idea what's going on in the chat if anybody's there, so I'm just going to blab as fast as I can. But we got to get to the love of RSS. And like, I've been on this for such a long time, I feel like I'm just winding up an old clock here. But when I wrote this in 2017, I always felt like whenever you come across, when some vendor or someone really excited about technology says to you it's going to save you time, that was always my red herring for them really saying I'm lying. Because the whole idea about time saving is a bit of a misnomer. And oh my God, do we hear it today with Gen AI, all the things it's going to save time. And I always question that. And the only thing that really doesn't fit in that category for questioning is the idea of RSS and approaching consuming your information by sources you choose in an RSS reader. I'm not going to go into that, and much more has been written. If you are a Cory Doctorow fan, if you're not, you should read him. The guy writes in such a voluminous of material, and he's got a whole system for managing information, which he describes in this article about how he consumes things, and that you don't, like all the stuff that comes out in newsletters or through Mastodon or social media, you can get RSS feeds for those. And if you read them, the cat's interested, in an RSS reader, you don't have pop-ups, you don't have ads, and it's a much more, to me, time-saving interface. But I'm going to hop on that one for so long. But I do want to talk about, like, you don't have to be like an expert in RSS. You don't have to know what it does. You don't have to do what I'm going to talk about, but it does help. So my suggestion, I have this Google Doc that'll be in the fleet of treats about there are some ways you can be smart about knowing what RSS feeds are. So if you do things in WordPress, like WordPress, I love WordPress. Sorry, Tim Clapdoor. I love what you're doing, but I still love my WordPress. Almost any URL for a page, or something like a tag, a category, even a year archive, you slap on /feed, instant RSS feed. It's that simple. It always works. Pinboard that I showed you about, not as simple. You got to look for the little icon. You got to copy it. So sometimes you got to dig for RSS. Raindrop, I played around with Raindrop for a while. It's got RSS built in. It's got a way to find it. Substack, newsletters are the thing. Like you get it in your inbox. I don't always want that stuff in my inbox. So I subscribe to a lot of Substacks in my RSS feed. You just go to the URL and you slap feed on the end. Ghost has a lot of great features. I love what people are doing with Ghost. You just slap RSS on any URL, either the main site or Mark Corbett Wilson has one now, and you can get a feed for his wild DS106 tags. Mastodon, so many things in Mastodon, you can just get an RSS feed. Blue Sky, I don't use it, but I know it works. And so there's lots of ways, and I'm not here just to go nuts and bolts on RSS because that's just a thing that helps me do this integration that I'm talking about. So what I've been experimenting with for, I don't even know how long, I've used a bunch of these things, and I think they're called integrators. The most logical, sensible one, and it was one of the first ones out of the gate, was if this, then that. And it enables you to have things set up so remote sites can do things with each other. So the basic premise for all these are you have a trigger. If this happens, then do this. And so I do some of this stuff through if this and that. I'm really liking a lot more. I use Make, and that's what I'm going to show you today. And I use Zapier, and there's like 25 million other one of these. And they all pretty much work the same. You pick different services, and a lot of times you don't even need their RSS feed, where the triggers come from. It could be stuff that happens in Google Sheets. It can be stuff in your email. It could be stuff from MailChimp that triggers an action, and then you tell it, do something somewhere else. So these are the principal ones I'm going to go into. One of the things I've been really having fun with is all the time I'm looking at websites and I see stuff that's cool. And so what I want to do with them all the time is I want to keep them in my pinboard, because the thing about having these social bookmarks, I search this. I look for this all the time. And so I've been gathering this stuff, and this is just for me that I do it. So I have a whole process. I didn't want to use up all my time, so I have a video. You can watch this video where I walk through a real quick demo of what I do, starting with a JavaScript bookmarklet, setting it to Pinboard, and then having Pinboard wired to do things like post to Mastodon, post to Discourse, all that. So, but I want to quickly tell you about, because I have no time, something that came up that I wanted to do for our session on the Daily Creates. Do I have to explain what the Daily Create is? It's been happening here, you can see, since January 1st, 2012. And it's been through a couple of life cycles. It was for about 2 years or more. It was on a website that Tim Owens built. And then I created a new Spotlight one. And so what I wanted to have, very simply, I wanted to create just a way to have a reference, to know, have on the date, the title of the Daily Create feed, and the link to it. So it took a couple of shenanigans. I had Jim Groom's help on getting some data exported from the old TDC website, because it's offline. And we went into the database and grabbed that. The current website, which is WordPress, uses this great little plugin that you can export information from post as CSV. And I could ask for just these 3 things from the post. But what I wanted it to do, and I knew I could do this, is I could create something where it updates itself. And that's what I've been doing with Make. So on this one, this is the raw archive. So the oldest one is first. This is a different view of it. And this one just puts the newest one at the top. And so this one that came in today, I didn't put this in the spreadsheet. It did it by itself. This is where I'm going to get into. I love this thing, Make, and I barely scratched the surface with Make, but it's a lot more powerful than if this, then that, and maybe even Zapier. I don't know, but you set up these different modules that do things and you connect them. And this one's very simple. I just have 2. So the basic premise is I want this to be driven from the Daily Create. And look, it's a WordPress site. I know what its feed are. I don't even have to look for the feed. I know what the feed is. And basically this runs every day. So I only need to get the newest item. That's all I need. So that's the trigger. And so it runs every day at about an hour after it's published on the Daily Create site. And what I tell it to do is to go to Google Sheets. And so in Make, what you do is you sort of create a connection. So you log into your Google account. So then you can say like where you want to store it. So it's in a Google Sheet I call All Daily Creates. It has a sheet that I called Archive, and you can see that over in the archive. It does contain headers. And so this is where it gets interesting. I needed those three things. So they come from, and when you go to start editing, you get all the RSS feed information. So these are all the fields that I have to play with. In this case, I mean, not all the fields are used in the RSS, but there's a couple of them. So the title, that's pretty easy. That comes straight out of here. The link, the URL, that comes straight out of the feed. The tricky part was the date, because here I wanted it in this simple format in my spreadsheet. And when I started playing with this, some of the problems with the date fields are that it has the date it was uploaded, but because the daily crates are scheduled, that's not really right. So the only date that's accurate is the publication date, which is down here in the bottom, which is a weird format. It's got Saturday, 01 November 22, 25. And so like my Google Sheet didn't know what to do with that as a date format. So this is where Make it's really powerful, because you have these functions that you can use. So I was able to put a substring function to go into that date and pull out just the string that gives me the kind of date format that my spreadsheet can handle out. And that's pretty much, I mean, that's just very little surface of what I do. And I have a bunch of other things where I do maybe some more sophisticated things. And in Make, you don't have to do just simple if this and that. You can have multiple branching paths. You can sort of create a whole cascade water flow of things that happen. With Make, I think there's a certain amount you can get by with on free. I did that for a while. And then I found out I was creating like 5 different Make accounts with 5 different emails. And, you know, they do get you eventually. So I pay like, I don't know, it's like $5 a month or something. But that's like a simple thing. So let's get into the federated stuff. That's what we're excited about. I know Andy Rush is going to carry on the tune right after this. I got real excited about the Fediverse because I was so pissed off about Twitter. I went to OER24. I printed this t-shirt. You can get it yourself. I don't make any money. But the whole idea was like, you know, Mastodon, Fediverse, it's complicated. It's hard. People get frustrated by it. Oh, it's not as easy as Twitter was, but it's worth it. And that's all I'm going to say about it. So with blogging, what I first started with was in 2022, knowing that Twitter was sort of like decaying. And I wanted to figure out how could I get stuff like we used to be able to publish a new daily crate to Twitter. How do I do the same thing to get it published to Mastodon? So I did a bunch of things here because I wanted to update the Daily Create site. And so one of the things that I found out was just through almost a random blog post, I found this post here by, I forget you guys' name, how to post to Mastodon from anything using if this, then that. And this formula worked great. It's a little bit complex because you have to create these things called webhooks. And again, if this, then that, they slightly impoopified and they took that away from free to be able to do that. But it worked. And so I had this going for a while for my blog. And I have a couple other things where, driven by an RSS feed, there's a new post on my blog. I can make it post to my own Mastodon account. And this is where it gets kind of interesting and complicated. A lot of times that's what people want. Like when I have like a website, I want it to be able to push out under my own account name. And that's sort of like the first logical thing. And it works, and you can do it, and you can use any of these methods to do that. But there's a few more features that you get in by actually turning, you can do it with Ghost too now, but WordPress has the ActivityPub plugin. It turns your own WordPress site into its own instance, which means its own entity on the Fediverse. And so it not only pushes out new posts, but what happens is when people reply to your post, those replies show up on the site. And that's what I wanted with the Daily Create, because that's how you used to work with that in Twitter, except we had to mess around with the API. So I started playing around a couple years ago. I don't know, last year. This was from the link for this. Hopefully, is in the chat. I did a community chat session with the Reclaim folks back in September. Kind of a longer version of what I'm trying to do now, and talking about the things that I did. And you know, when you get into the weeds, there's a little bit of stuff you have to figure out. But what I like for my Cogdog blog site is I can sort of like customize the template of what I wanted to say. So the simplest thing, it just says like post title, here's the image, and here's the description and the link. That's just like basic what comes out of the system. But you can sort of personalize it. So mine would say this is Cogdog blogged, and it inserts the title with the tag, the excerpt, the link, and then I add this little bit of a string, which sort of creates a link to my hashtag. So if I want to follow all my stuff in hashtag. So that's what I like one bit, about this, is that you're able to sort of like customize how it goes out. The other thing is that your profile, you can sort of not just have a generic thing. You can create, it'll use your icon on the image. You can have a background image. Hi, Felix. You write the bio, and then you can actually add links to the profile that shows up. And I'll show you how this works. So I love what this does for working with WordPress. The thing that kind of you get tripped up in is like my act will come out. And so let's see if I find something that I here's the post that I published, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is the one for my Reclaim talk. So it gets published by this account, barking@cogdogblog.com. It's like a different person. It's got the same icon. So invariably what I have to do, I boost myself. If I want it in my stream, I push it into my stream. And on one hand, that sounds a little bit like, oh my God, that's just extra work. But there's a subtle thing about boosting. And like in general, like boosting in the Fediverse is more than just like trying to like promote or being able to say like, look, this is for all my followers. Boosting really helps the information get spread across the Fediverse because we're all on different servers, or many of us are. And what happens is if someone on a different instance, fosdal.org and our friends in New Zealand, if someone there follows my blog and then or my account, that means that helps other people on their server see it if they boost it, or if they boost or if they follow. So boosting really subtly helps spread the Fediverse. That's a little side box here. So I do it also for the Daily Create, which shows up on the Fediverse as well. This works really well for the Daily Create because what will happen is, sure, the post goes out, and I'll go to yesterday's Daily Create. This gets posted to the Fediverse, but all these responses that came in, these are replies that happen in Mastodon. They're not replies on the blog. They look like comments. They come in like comments, but it's tracking it on the site. I have some work to do here. I want to like do something better with the layout, and I want to be able to track them like the old days of the Daily Create, where you could sort of see all the stuff that Dog Tracks did. And got to bring back the leaderboard. I want the leaderboard on the Daily Create again. That was so much fun to be able to see like who's in top. This is old data, still based on Twitter. I have a lot of work to do on this website, but I'll get to it someday. Don't worry. So, seeing that I have 10 minutes left, I actually got pretty far here. I don't know if this would work. These are just, I put in Mastodon. These are just some of the ones that I do. So my own blog is found at this site. Daily Create is creating at Daily DS106. I kind of have fun with the name. So this one, which is world famous, what you have to do is you have to take that address, and this is where, it gets a little bit funky in the Fediverse. You have to search for it, and you have to search for profiles. And so it'll bring up profiles that match it. I'm already matching this one. I don't know. This is the old one that I used. Look at that, 6 followers. This is a big, big blog. And then that's the way you follow these different accounts. So for podcasts I do with OEGlobal, I have one that is it publishes every time a new podcast episode comes out. And let's see, it comes up here, and here is the account. So this is the one from OEGlobal. You see it's got a custom background. It's got links that I put in there, and this is the most recent episode, gets pushed out to the Fediverse as its own account. So all the episodes, if you really want to follow this podcast, it's really worth following, folks. You really want to follow it. But I'm really excited that I could do that with the Fediverse. Also, I played around, and I know Reclaim uses the events calendar plugin. There's an extra plugin that goes with the ActivityPub that allows event data to be promoted through the Fediverse. So I created one for our Open Education Week event. Oh, come on, profiles, searching a Mastodon. So when you come in here, as people added their events to the calendar, last year we posted 900 of these. They get added and they get pushed out to the Fediverse, and there you can, tweet and follow and do whatever. So again, I played around. This is pretty subtle. My presentation was in Pinboard. And actually what I had to do is I had to post them in the reverse order. So the last slide comes first, etc. So they came up in this order. And then this is its presentation itself, but all this stuff lives out, and there's some extra ones in here that I didn't really show all the time. And so some of the things I can't show you, link to my Make universe. So I have, in this one, some stuff lives in Flickr, yabba yabba yabba. But the presentation was in a Pinboard tag feed, and I had these grand plans, and I'm going to stop that share right now. I had these grand plans, and I was this close to get it to work. I was going to hook that up to an integrator, a make thing, and I was going to try to have it like post each one of those things to Mastodon as I was talking. I ran out of time. And so, yeah, that's my gig. Look, I know this isn't for everybody. It's a little bit crazy. It's stitched together. I know Darcy will say, like, I don't want to get like hung up because some service like yanks their plug on me. So Darcy does all this stuff beautifully. He and his buddy Claude he built the whole thing for his own static website. Doesn't matter how you do this stuff. It's just, I just love fiddling with it, and I love the doing it, with your hands and like getting involved. And yeah, it might be more work, and it's not everybody's shtick to be doing this. But if you want to do some rewilding, you got to get out of the fancy car, and maybe you got to like dig around in the dirt and put some things together. And the thing is, like, RSS, like, how many times have people said like, oh, RSS is dead, Google Reader killed RSS? So I always repeat this. The next time you hear someone say that, with that kind of tone to their voice, you just say like, hey, do you like listening to podcasts? How do you get new episodes in your podcast player? Ask them that. They probably don't know, but that's RSS, folks. RSS is still alive, and it's kicking out there. I know Stephen Downs knows it. He's the guy who turned me on to RSS long ago at Maricopa, and was such an influence. And really, I can say it's the only technology that's going to save you time. I won't save you the time you lost to generative AI, but it will save you time. That's where I am. I have no idea what's going on in the session right now. I'm probably going to see like recursion if we go to this. I'm just seeing there's a couple people in there. That's my thing. I don't think I don't know if the links got in there. Oh, Jason put them in there. Yeah. Thank you, Jason, for putting the links there. I'm gonna go recursive. If I click the play button, the internet is going to break. That's so time. Thank you, Christina. I've noticed you, Christina, doing more of the daily creates lately, and it's good to see you. And I know I'm still gonna subscribe to your blog. Andy, I feel like I always know what's going on with Andy because I read his blog, and of course, like Steven, I get half of my cool tech from Steven's OL Daily. He was not appropriate. Yeah, Andrew, it's not appropriate to wear the office. Yeah, I guess so. I love Get Smart. I was pretty much totally influenced by television. I can't get that out of my head. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my experiment and me talking about some old technology. Don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but we learned from DS106 to not leave dead air. Hi, Jason.
Hey, yes, I was just going to jump in and say thank you for a great session. We do have 4 more sessions today, so everybody don't leave, stick around. We have sessions with Andy Rush, Jessica Tyrell, Stephen Downs, and Joe Murphy coming up to take us home. So the next one will be starting in just a couple minutes here at 3 o'clock, and that is Andy Rush's session, Media Empire of One's Own, a federated approach with PeerTube and beyond. So we'll close this out here in a second and jump over there and move on to the next session.
Yeah, definitely go to Andy's, go to Stephen's, go to the mall. Thank you, Reclaim.
All right, thank you, Alan. See y'all in the next session.
Nom nom nom.